Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. We got something a little different for you guys today. I'm going to be doing a little team building exercise for Temtem. I know a lot of people don't really know what they're doing when it comes to team building. For those of you who don't know, I've been playing Temtem since Alpha Day 1, on and off of course, but been coming back and forth. I've always been, I would say, in the higher echelon of the PvP players, usually in the tournament ELO list, I've was top 40 for a long time, and in the ladder, I've been ranked top 10 before, and just overall, I've been a fairly high rated player in the PvP area. So I figured it'd be a good idea to do a guide. So first of all, we're gonna go over a couple things. The tier list you see on the screen in front of you is actually an UU tier list that is being done. So this is going to be a tournament made for some underperforming Tems that can't really get their way into the main meta. A chance for them to shine and, to just do some cool things just for a bit of fun, just to shake things up. So I thought, if I'm going to come back and make a team, this be a great time to make a video about it. So when you're building a team, what do you want to do first? The main thing you want to do is build your core. So you want to start off with your core and then branch out from that and do things like that, get around what your game plan is going to be. So for my core, I'm going to add, I got an idea of what I want to play already. So we're going to do Golzy. We're going to do, what's its name? A Loeli. And we are going to do Rockalim. So the reason that's our core is we got Golzy with Hasty Lunge, wants to synergize with grass types, gives it a good electric turn 1, which is what it's really missing. The main issue with this core in the main meta would be basically Tremorian, as well as Minotaur is actually kind of hard to play with it. It's not like horrible matchup. It's also not a great matchup. So a couple things like that. Actually, in the main, if we were using OU rules, we would definitely have Minotaur in this setup. So that's our core. So now we got to decide, okay, so what else do we want to do with this team? Well, we're probably going to want to add something that synergizes well with nature, since we already have two. Kind of makes sense. So let us add an Adoraboros, Synergy Master Adoraboros. That allows us to get our Emanips at higher base power. Also covers off, it's a mental, so it helps with the neutral matchups. Not that there's as many neutrals in this format, but you know what? It also helps the melees. I think Magma is going to be very good in this comp, or in this set. So good to have a melee or a mental to help answer that. Next up, we're going to want something that starts to help our, we want to start filling out our team now, right? We got a sub core here. Generally, your core would be about 5 Temtem, but of course it changes from time to time. You can have a solid 3 core and then branch out into like a, generally you have your core and then you have your fillers. We are going to slot in a Magnet, and the reason we are going with Magnet is we need a strong crystal pivot. You have Xeno here, I think could be very good. You also have Shiun, which could be powerful. So just things that can pivot in. Two Vine. I actually think Two Vine's going to be really strong as well. So we want to make sure we are able to deal with the crystal threats, because our team already has 2 crystal weaknesses. And, it's just all about that, right? It's about helping out your weaknesses. So next up, ideally we would want an extra electric type, mainly due to the fact that Loeli already synergizes with electric. So it'd be nice to have the second electric type. Now, if you want a second electric type out of this list, it gets a little bit tight. One that jumps out to my mind would be Electric Koish. I think we're going to run that. We're going to do Electric Koish, and the reason we're going to do Electric Koish is because we're going to run Synergy Master. So it has the option to Water Cannon with Adoraboros, even though it's going to be physical with E, like it has E Punch, it has physical options. We also have the option to do some really cool stuff with water cannon, and it being an electric actually allows Gust from Loeli to give us some options. So you got that, and then on top of that, adding Ecoish, adding a second electric with Synergy Master also allows us to add a Tortonite. So we'll say this is the first edition right now. We need one more 10. So normally in this stage, what we would do is we would check our resistances. Normally I check my resistances before now, but we can always adjust it if we need to. Alright, sorry, but that had to move the camera down. So this is what our resistances look like. So first, right off the bat, what do we see? Well, digital is a pretty big weakness, obviously, but that's honestly not too bad because we have, the things that are getting hit by digital. We have hasty launch options for digital. We have our ecoish, and your digital, you're gonna have weaknesses to digital. It's just it 2x's things. It's a pain to build around. So that's probably always gonna be something you deal with. So what else do we got? Mental, toxic. So if something could cover both, that would be great. And as we so have it, we've already talked about something in this video that is very good at that, and that would be a 2-vine. So if we now look at our team resistance chart, we have some very strong resistances. We do have a bit of an issue into fire, but we have 2 good pivots into fire. And, might be something we have to look at. Could be some different options. Maybe we run Nesla over Ecoish, because that could provide, while we don't get the Synergy Master from Ecoish, we still get our synergy on our Gust, which is the main thing we want to get. We also have options to switch out maybe Tortonite, which is kind of a filler right now. You could even put in a Platymus so that you still get your Rotten Goo. You know what? I actually think we're going to make that change right now. We're going to do this on the fly. We're going to see, like, a lot of times, sometimes it's best to just visualize it. How does it look with Platymus in there instead? So, and that actually also helps our digital weakness. So I actually think that is probably the better move. It does take away a bit of our bulkiness, but it gives us, not only does it give us a fire advantage, it gives us a fire pivot, which is huge. So this team absolutely decimates wins, which is why it's fine to have a Platymus in there. It's already good in the water, which Platymus is. It needed help on fire. Platymus is great for that. Since our core is nature types, it really allows us to help out. So this is basically a team building guide. So from here, you would pick all your moves. It's pretty, I'll say straightforward, to also way too complicated to get into one video. It's either your moves are straight up like you know what you want, or it could almost be a video on itself on how to do the moves. The next thing we will do, though, because I think everyone can benefit from this, is we'll go over the gears. First of all, for gears, you need to know what your team wants to do and what each team needs to do while they're on the field. For example, 2-vine would be a great option for chamomile so it can stay in on toxics. We're going to drop out this review there now so we can actually look at the gears that we're doing. So chamomile prevents negative stat changes is kind of one of the options with chamomile. So really you're only looking at toxic ticks, for example. 2-vine is our toxic counter, like that is its role. So you could add chamomile there. Another option for chamomile would be Golzy. Golzy just generally works really well with chamomile. It enjoys being on the field, not having to worry about anything. The immune status is great because it can't get hit by sleeps or anything like that. There's not really a better option for chamomile in this one. Maybe Ecoish. You could actually, Ecoish wouldn't be horrible. But overall, like, there's no really like standout users of it. So let's start with Golzy, and I think what we would want to do would be Adrenaline Shot. And I say Adrenaline Shot because this gives us the option of, if we don't have a nature ally to pair with Golzy, we can still use our Hasty Lunge turn 1 and be fine. So it gives us that option, which is nice. So that's a start. Again, these are all starting points. They can always be changed. For Loeli, we want to use bait. Loeli is very stamina hungry. All of its moves are very high stamina. For this reason, Fake Beard also works great. So does Sweatband. It could be something that we look to get put onto Loeli. Loeli also loves bait though because it doesn't have great 3 prio options. Like it has good 3 prio options, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't have amazing ones. So it getting the sleep, proccing the bait is great. You also lose the poison ticks that it might take because it does generally get hit by a poison move. Obviously, it's it is the nature type, but since it's also wind, it can hit back. So you like it to be able to stay in on those toxics when it can. For Brocklin, we're going to use Fake Beard. Just basically, his moves have a crazy high stamina cost, just like Loeli, but has less stamina to work with than Loeli. So you want the guaranteed Invigorize from Fake Beard, unlike Loeli, where it can get off a few moves in a row without bait proccing. Brocklin will need it. Turn 1 needs that stamina drops coming in. So its Fake Beard is just really good on it, and we just don't really have a better option for Fake Beard. So that's why I would put that there. Next up, we're going to be putting handcuffs onto Adoro. It's going to be e-manipping most of the time. Like that's this guy's role in the team. It's a great supportive Tem, so if it's using its turn to trap another Tem, it's absolutely happy to do that, and it's just a great use of its time. Magma is an interesting one. We don't generally something like a Stolly Tem like Magma would love to have chamomile or something like that to prevent poison ticks on it. Magma does not want that due to its the way it usually carries a game is by getting a ton of stat boosts on it. So we want to make sure that we don't be removing them when it switches back in. For this reason, we're going to use Nutrition Bar just to help its tankiness. Another thing you have to decide, which is something that's going to be very meta dependent, also what your team needs, what you need Magma to handle. Fizz Gulp versus Spec Gulp, it's really going to depend on a lot of stuff. I'm going to default mine with Fizz Gulp just because I want it to be a pivot into the physical fire attackers that are in this format, as well as the crystal attackers, which I believe are more on the physical side in this than special. I think it's pretty split. So Fizz Gulp just makes sense. We could easily do Spec Gulp, and that would also be fine. For Ecoish, we're going to do Chamomile. That's basically, it stops it from getting poison ticks, so it gives us that option. There's not really anything else it's doing. It's pretty slow without 3 prio, and we don't have any digital allies to give it 3 prio in this team. So it's probably going to it could be the target of sleep moves and stuff like that, especially since this wants to be in against mental types. It's always good to have that option, so that's why we're gonna go with a chamomile on this guy. Platamus is an interesting one because normally I would always run Drill on Platamus, as I find it just really good into its normal matchups with Drill. It's really good into Aohe, into Naga, with Gulder, things like that. However, none of that is in this format. So what do we want to do instead? Well, we need to decide what we want Platamus to do on this team. And really, it's going to be a fire pivot. And it's also going to be helping us against our digital matchups. So, you got a few options there, but I think realistically, double screen is probably just the best option. It allows it to stay in against multiple dual type things. It's kind of just a catch-all item. Really, like if you don't have a better item in a slot, it's hard to go wrong with double screen. And that's really just all of this. Finally, we have Tuvine, and while Tuvine can have a lot of different items, and I think it can work pretty well with most, Doppelganger's Boat being an interesting one due to it, working against all Tuvine evolutions. Most of the two Tuvine evolutions that it's bad against, being Turok and Tolkien, are not legal in this format, so it does make a pretty good case for itself in that regard. However, we are going to go with Aloe Vera, and we're going to do that because this guy's job is to take care of the toxic Tems so the rest of our team doesn't have to worry about them. So we just want to make sure that Aloe Vera can absolutely wreck through any toxic Tems that it faces. So yeah, that's pretty much team building, guys. Like, it's not super complicated. It definitely takes some practice, but basically, just to recap, you run over, you pick your core. Right now, our core is Golzy, Loeli, Brocklum, and Adora. That's the team we're building around. That's the nature synergies. Like that's what we want to do. Then okay, that's your synergies. So then how do we help that? Magma you want for a fire pivot and crystal pivot. It does both, and it completely wrecks crystal Tems. Then you want to get your Ecoish in there. It gives you synergy with your Loeli, it gives you synergy with your Adoro, and it allows you to also have Synergy Master for extra damage. Also synergizes really well with Platamus, as Platamus can use Rotten Goo and Koish can use Water Cannon for just extra synergy, lots of damage, lots of utility. Platamus is just a great fire pivot, toxic pivot, just does a lot of really good things for the team, and is just basically just a slot in to help cover our weaknesses. And finally, Two Vine is 100% just in there to cover our weaknesses. We have a slight mental weakness that we want to fix, and toxics are a little hard for us to deal with. So that's the basics of team building, guys. So as I said before, this is for the underused tournament that will be put on. There is a Discord that I'll link down below, as well as I will link the tournament page for anyone that wants to compete. It isn't going to be an auto scale tournament, of course, as it's community ran. Also, I mean, if you're watching Temtem videos, I'm sure you know about Temtem, as it's just the best utility that's in Temtem. Without this, I don't think most people would be playing Temtem in the same way, because this just makes team building a dream. It's so easy to use. Tyler's the creator of it. He does an awesome job. So I'm going to link everything I use here down in the description below, so make sure to take a look if you're interested yourself. I also plan to, I'm hoping to compete the tournament if my schedule lines up. And if it does, I'll record some of the videos and post them up on YouTube as well. So thanks guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Hello guys, thanks for watching the video. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the like button, as well as comment what you might have liked, what you might have liked to see change, or what you'd like to see in the future. I also stream on Twitch. You can find the link in the description, and you can also follow me on Twitter to see any kind of video updates, stream updates, anything like that. Last but not least, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you see when any other videos I make go live. Other than that, guys, that's it for me. So thanks again, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.